Fauci that I got a sense that this is a playbook that they have used forever. They offer one solution. This one solution is patented. This one solution is controlled by these pharmaceutical companies, and it's very expensive, and they make a fuckload of money from it. Whereas anything that's off-label, anything that's generic is dismissed. They rig the test to make it look like like they'll give you far more in like what they did with hydroxychloroquine. I mean, I don't even want to go into this. You could read it in the book, but my whole journey on this is like, first of all, how did I find myself in this, right? I'm a comedian and a cage fighting commentator. How am I having these, how am I on CNN all the time? And all they're doing is mocking a medication that I took very deceptively. No, out and out lying, not just deceptively, just out and out lying, saying that I took veterinary medicine. It was so strange. It was so strange to be in the center of that. And also to be someone who got over it very quickly, where there was no discussion. There was no like, hey, Joe Rogan got over this really quickly. What is he doing differently than most people that had COVID and had terrible outcomes? There was none of that. There was no real concern. Like, hey, is he doing something that we could all do? Maybe some people like Aaron Rodgers, who is allergic to one of the key components of the mRNA vaccine. He literally is allergic to it. If he takes it, it could be bad for him. So isn't there something those people can do? There wasn't even that. It was just mockery and shame. And it was also a very distorted understanding of the actual landscape. They thought they were CNN, and CNN was huge. CNN is the news. CNN is a gigantic corporation. They have a big building, the whole deal, giant sign. They didn't understand that this podcast is 10 times larger than them. And it was exposed during that whole thing where they just made this terrible chess move. They just ran out in the middle with their king. And that's how I found myself in the middle of all this. That's how I found myself having conversations with Peter McCullough and Robert Malone and now you and a lot of other people, John Abramson, a lot of other Brett Weinstein, a lot of very intelligent people that weren't crazy. They weren't tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists or QAnon believers. They were just intelligent people that had looked at all the data and had said, I think we're being lied to.
How do you feel about it now, looking back?
I'm so glad I didn't take it.
But in terms of the backlash that you got, Joe?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Exposed them.
Absolutely.
Exposed CNN. Everyone who did it is gone now.
You know,
Brian Stelter's gone.
Well, also
Jim Acosta's
Rachel
gone.
Maddow, I mean, she was dogmatically,
Yes.
in an evangelical way,
Yes.
saying that you're not going to get infected if you get
Yes.
the vaccine. I mean, has she accepted that she was wrong?
She has buried her head in the sand.
Well, there you go.
She has never said a word about it.
You talk about the corporate playbook. You know, you're absolutely right. This is under, you know, there's a framework of how big corporations exert their power. And part of that, obviously, is the political environment, and that's another issue, right? Why do politicians take so much money from big corporations? Why are they allowed to do that? All political parties, certainly both Democrats and the Republicans, take money from from big pharma. That's unacceptable. Capturing the preference shaping, capture of the media. You know, philanthropic organizations like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, capturing the knowledge environment, so funding medical education, sponsoring doctors' conferences. You've got the limited liability of the legal environment. Then you've got something called opposition fragmentation. So that means essentially attacking and smearing those who are calling out their bullshit, who are questioning the narrative. And you were caught in that, Joe. But I'm sure you know this. Take it as a backhanded compliment, because the fact that the mainstream media went for you in that way, probably orchestrated by pharma, I have no doubt, behind the scenes in some way, directly or indirectly, meant that they were worried about what you were saying and the people that were hearing it. And I also, because I've been in this space as an activist for a long time with the whole statin stuff, you know, in some ways, people say to me, Aseem, how are you doing? How are you dealing with all of this stuff coming out with the vaccine? I had colleagues saying to me, you might lose your medical license. And I said, well, the truth is more important. But also, compared to what I went through with statins, Joe, I don't undermine it. This is a walk in the park. As soon as I got attacked in The Guardian and The Times, I saw that as a sign of progress, you know, because Gandhi said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.